Hey guys, welcome back. Episode 7 of our fuel injection conversion series. I hope we're firing the engine today. I'm anxious, I'm excited, I'm nervous. Man, it's been a long time. If it's your first time here, go check out number 1. There are some very detailed episodes of how to install the whole system. Last episode we did plumbing, and at the very end of that episode, if you watched it long enough, I talked about a suspect issue I have or might have with the Holley pump we have in the trunk, because it is a little higher than spec. So they expect 12 inches from the bottom of the tank. I think it's at 13 or 14. I don't know. We're going to test it today. Assuming that test goes well, we will also prime the forced fuel unit. And I'm using a 3-way switch that I put in during the electrical video. I don't know if you saw that one, but I will show you why I did that. Basically, so we can test the pump without running the engine or turning it over, which is key for troubleshooting. You can use that in your project, free of charge. So after that, we're going to go through the handheld settings. You have to have specific handheld settings before your first fire. And I didn't have an instruction manual to do that, so hopefully your kit comes with that manual. If it didn't, I'm going to show you the funny spot where I found it. Because I was a little blown away that I didn't have one, and thank God I found one. So let's get things rolling. Let's get to the trunk and show you the plumbing. All right, as a recap, there's the plumbing. So we have fuel coming in from here into the Rob MC high flow filter. Remember, we took the sock off of the sending unit into the Holley pump, so it's now like 5 psi, into the carburetor filter, into the inlet. There's the return line right back to the tank. So I think what we're going to do is see if I can just take this return line off, put it right on the pump, and we can do a little closed loop test of that Holley pump. Otherwise, I'll just make a new hose with fittings and everything, but I'm going to give that a shot. See how it goes. Oh yeah, I just took that hose off the return and put it over here, so that worked. And let's get in the car and flip my magic switch to turn just that pump on. All right, my concern is to see how loud it is, so I'm going to leave the camera here. I'm going to get in the car and turn on the pump. Let's pray that it's not that loud, and also pray that it works. Here we go. Hey, it's working. It's a little louder than I like. Hey, so here's the interior noise test. I'm gonna turn it on. Yeah, it's gonna annoy the crap out of me, but oh well, for this time being, we're gonna go move forward and get that force fuel all hooked up. Man, I gotta replumb that whole pump situation. All right, so the Holley pump works, but not to my expectation. I think it's way too loud, and I'm going to go eventually switch back to my Carter unit. But for this experiment, it works, and that's all we needed to do is just work. So I reattached all the plumbing the way it was. And those of you that have a force fuel unit, the next step here is we have to prime the system, because that's a reservoir that has to be full of fuel before we start that submerged pump that's in there. And if you have your force fuel in the engine compartment, do not connect that positive terminal. You want to run the engine 2 or 3 times, turn it over, not run it, but turn it over 2 or 3 times, and allow the mechanical pump to fill the reservoir. Now that I have the Holley pump, I have it attached to 12-volt keyed on a toggle switch, which is in my console. And so I'm just going to run that a few times, and then I'm going to check the fitting on the return. Just loosen it a little bit, and the fuel comes out. I know the reserve's full. So that's what I'm going to do. And again, this is how loud it gets. It's so annoying. So I'm going to do that a few times, check that fitting, and be right back. Okay, so I checked that fitting. We got fuel coming out of the return line, so we're full. I remember I mentioned a 3-way switch. I mentioned it in the electrical install video and the wiring. It's very similar to a toggle switch, but instead of on and off. It actually goes on, off, on, and you can run 2 different circuits. So in my scenario, the common is actually going to the fuel relay, the pump relay, and connecting to it are 2 options. So if the trigger's down, it's a 12-volt keyed, so I can actually run the pump without turning the engine over, which is cool for troubleshooting. That's why I did that. And then the other one is running from the EFI unit. So that's for normal operation. So it'll be up when I'm normally just driving around and the EFI unit's controlling the pump. If there's an engine dies, then it stops the pump. That's the point. But I wanted some troubleshooting aspect behind it. So this time we're going to run both. I'm going to run the Holley pump, and using my 3-way switch, I'm going to run the EFI pump manually, and I'll put a camera back there to see how it works. So here we go. All right, fire in the hole. Holley first. Force fuel second. Oh yeah, looks like 58 PSI, which is the target. I can turn them off. All right, we got pressure. I went ahead and checked all my fittings. We don't want any leaks. And the next step here, before we start the engine, we have to set up our handheld, and you're gonna need some instructions. So your kit should have come with these, but the instructions you really need look like this. And they didn't come with my kit. The funny part is I just said, you know what, I'm gonna research how the handheld works, and I attached it to my computer. I got it out of here. Yeah, I know. And it's a Word document, so if you don't have Microsoft Word, you can't print it. Oh my God. Okay, so let me show you how to get into that file when it kicks on, when you plug it into your computer. All right, so on the handheld, you have like a dongle looking female connector. There's also another port right here. So either port will work. So when you plug it in your computer, it acts identically as if you plug it in your car. So I'm plugging it in. So it's going to boot up, takes a few seconds. And I really like this handheld because it's a touch screen, so you can touch different functions. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom on the main menu, you'll see handwear software mode selection. So you select that, and you just if you hit that button, it turns into a flash drive. So on your computer, go to your Explorer file, and there's a shared folder on here that has your model number, system, and you go in there and there's Word documents. One of them is the manual I just showed you. The other one is a glossary of terms, and it is 10 pages long. Print that out too. So after you get all that, we now need to talk about how to set this up for first fire. So I'm going to change seats. Be right back. All right, let's get into the handheld. So as soon as you plug it in, it'll obviously fire up. And we do all this before we do our first fire. Go to initial setup, hit enter, and we go through obvious questions here. So engine setup, and it has some default values. So we're going to go in here. Obviously I have 8. I need to bump this up a bit. .467. Cam, mild to wild. I'm going to start with 2. When we start experimenting later on, we can drop that down to, or go up to 3. So 4 being aggressive, 1 being stock. This one I'm going to just lower just in case. I don't have to go crazy yet. Let's go to 6,000. I'm okay with 800 right now. I don't know what that is, so we'll leave it. And tack. Tack is what we want because that's what we're wired up to. And if we send to ECU, ba-bang. I'm going to go back 1. And let's look at fan setup, because I remember we have electric fan. I'm going to lower these because my thermostat's 160. So fan on, we'll call it 165, just for testing. Later down the road we can we can fix it. And enabled. So the way that operates is like it's just connecting a circuit. It's not supplying power to your fan, so make sure it's going to a fan relay like we talked about prior. Send to ECU. Gauges. I want to see RPM. And later we're going to talk about IAC. Back out and open up the dashboard. And as soon as we key off, in theory, it's supposed to send all this and save it in the ECU. So I'm going to key off. The keys out. The values I thought are supposed to go to 0. I don't know. Oh, there they go. It worked. All right. I think it's time. Let's see what happens here. All right, guys. So I don't know what's going to happen here. You know, typically with the carburetor, you pump the pedal to get the prime shot in the intake manifold. I don't think we have to do that. So I'm not going to do anything, just for experimental sake. And let me go back out of here. So if I key on, I'm going to hear the pump. All right, here we go. Almost. I'm guessing it's purging all the air out. Oh. Hey-o. Wow, it's staying at 900. Where's our dashboard here? Check it out, guys. So RPM, coolant temperature, and IAC. When you get up to say 130 degrees, we can start tackling this number as the next subject. Before we start playing with this number, we have to go back to initial setup and then idle setup, and we're going to change the set mode to on. My key is in the on position, by the way. And we'll back out. And we want to go back to the dashboard. So I'm going to start the car again and get up into the front of the car and show you we have a screw to turn on the throttle body to change that number. So be right back. Okay, when I turn that screw, I want this number to be between 3 and 10 and still stay within our range. So the problem is I can't see this from the front of the car, so I'm going to set the camera up in the front, but I have to go back and forth. All right, so I decided not to film and have the engine on at the same time, just because I want to get close here. But this is the screw we're talking about. If that IAC valve, IAC number is high, you want to go a little bit clockwise, and that's opening this guy. I hope he's not touching. So I'm going to just do a little turn here, and then, oh, it's going the other way. Good. I was scared that it was going to touch, we're going to go the wrong way. So I'm going to go ahead and restart the car, see how that changed our IAC number. I think that stands for intake air control or something. So let's go fire it up and see if that changed it. It was around 100, remember? Okay, so getting closer. We're now at 74-ish, so I'll give it another couple turns and try again. All right, guys, so you saw that last reading of around 75. I was trying to get it closer or under 10, it's supposed to be between 3 and 10, and I couldn't get there. I'd get there and then it would jump back up to 50, come back down to 0, and it just started jumping around. I was losing my mind. So I had to call FiTech. And thank God I did, because 2 really cool things happened. One, they talked me off the ledge, because the reason it was jumping around was my fans had kicked on. I had reached 170 degrees or whatever my setting was, and the fans kicked on. I didn't realize that was going to be a contributing factor to jumping around and chasing a rabbit down the wrong hole. So the other piece of news, I will tell you at the end of this video, because it's really exciting. Now, the other thing I did is I added the air cleaner. It looks killer. So now it's the next day. So I let the engine cool. And we're going to go ahead and do this process again. Remember yesterday when I was excited about 900 RPM? That's because with my carburetor, I had to hold it down to get 1800 RPM until it warmed up. Then I can let it go. There's no way I could keep it at 900 with my pedal. So that's why I was so excited. So today we're going to do the same thing to see what the RPM starts with, how long it lasts. So let's get back in the car and warm this thing up. All right, we got there. I'm under 10. It took me a while, man, but we're hovering around 800 and we're at 8, 9, whatever, 10, 9. So I can screw it with some more, but I think it's time for a road test. All right, let's go on a test drive, shall we? I got like 4 cameras going too, so hopefully they all work as well. But I'm gonna keep my eyes on the RPM, coolant temperature, and the AIC just for kicks and giggles. And we'll see how she performs. Let's do it. Oh, wow. So smooth on takeoff. So coming to a stop, maintaining RPM without me doing the whole throttle pedal trick with the carburetor. Woo! Wow. It sounds awesome. Man, it's not backfiring either. Oh man, I'm in love. Oh my gosh. This is awesome. Man, what I love is coming to a stop. I don't have to feather the pedal if it's about to stall. It totally catches itself. Wow, so smooth. Wow. Knock the cameras over. Oh my God, sorry about that, guys. I love cornering. Woo! Oh, I love that. Man. Knocking cameras everywhere. Oh my God, this is so much fun. Here's the final reading. I'm just sitting in the driveway. IAC is staying low. Coolant's awesome. Oh my God, I can't even explain how happy I am. Oh, let's get this back in the garage, wrap this up, and tell you about that surprise. Oh my God. So I just got home. I haven't done any editing. I don't know what the video looks like, but I'm sure it was crazy, especially the corners. Sorry about that. That's what the car's built for. But man, the fact that I can come to a stop sign and it doesn't stall, or I don't have to feather it, that's a huge problem of mine when the car's warming up or trying to get warm. And even when it's warm, it happens. No sign. Backfiring's cut back. It's still backfiring a little bit. Not a big deal. The other thing, pulling away from a stop sign, I have to relearn how to launch because I used to have to feather the clutch. I don't know if what was going on, but I don't have to do that anymore. So I got to relearn that. The acceleration was unbelievable. I cannot wait. Oh, the second thing I was going to tell you, the surprise. I haven't forgotten because when I called FiTech, they said after you get the IAC dialed in, come up here to our facility and we'll dyno it and tune it for you. Come on. Awesome. I didn't know that was in the cards, so thank you FiTech for doing that. So subscribe if you haven't because you're going to want to see that one. I cannot wait. The performance already improvement is unbelievable. What is tuning going to do? Wow. So, man, you guys know the drill. Thanks for hanging out, but building fast and driving faster. See ya.